Hi, welcome back to Building Memories. This is episode 9, Reflections at Construction Midpoint. Yeah, when I realized yesterday that literally we are halfway through the 12-month construction phase, I was like, wow, that is going to be a lot to cover in one segment. So we're going to break this one up into 2 to keep these in shorter, hopefully 15-minute segments to give you an update on where we are, what's happening, and then what's coming down the pike as we get closer and closer and closer to opening day on October 15th. So thanks for joining. We're just going to jump right in today. All right. I did pull just a couple of quotes for today. The one that really resonates at the moment is the only place success comes before work is the dictionary. That's evidently a Vidal Sassoon quote. And I'm really feeling it as we are just in the midst of so many details and so much coming together. You can see here on the screen the timeline of our 12-month construction journey. And again, that's not the entire development of the resort. I'm just focusing today on the construction, starting in early November 2023 when we actually started the clearing. We are halfway this week to the goal in opening, and that's super exciting and also slightly terrifying. So yesterday, my husband and I took our little logo sign out to the site, and our daughter was kind enough to snap this quick pic so you can see just where we are visibly from what will be the primary entrance in the future of the construction. So there's a lot to celebrate, and there's a lot more work to do to get ready for our first guests at soft open. So let's just take a moment to step back and do a then and now kind of comparison. This first drone image with the trees shows the land mostly as it looked like when we originally purchased it. You know, prior to our purchase, this was a commercial logging property, and we do intend to keep over 50 acres of the property going forward in longleaf pine forest. That'll have some commercial applications, pine straw harvesting, and other things over the years. However, our intent is to keep this as forest land and use it sustainably, both for our guests and for the campground. As you look to the right, you can see where we are. Actually, as of yesterday, Craig went out and did some drone pictures yesterday, and it takes 2 to really show where we are compared to the original photo there. That top one shows really kind of where our amenities are going to go, and then the drain field, whereas the bottom shows the front of the park and our entrance welcome center and where the first 109 campsites of phase 1 will go. Really what struck me in this is, hey, what does a upscale campground look like at Midpoint? Well, to me, it mostly looks like an overgrown sandbox. So to show you a little bit more, I'm going to flip over to a video showing a couple little clips from the past week of work in progress. If I happen to accidentally mute myself, I will come back to share throughout the show. Here we go. Alrighty, so this is up front close to the clubhouse. This will actually be the first row of pull-throughs between Frogway and Spotted Turtle Way. I was just referencing the map. And so what happened was the property actually had some elevation here in this area that needed to be cut down and then graded. And that's some of the work that you're seeing here with mobile equipment in the dump truck. And then this may be visually exciting. The crew is back on site this week doing the exterior part of the welcome center, and I am super excited to see this. So now we have our 5 small single doors, and those are for the individual restrooms and the laundry. When the 2 machines were working together. So, my apologies. Right now. Yeah. Future Greenfield. Now, is that a smaller dozer than the ones that Dempsey's people are using?
No, that's way bigger.
Right there, that I believe on the we need to see. Okay. I can't believe I forgot to cut the audio on that last little bit. So basically, we are on track. We are on schedule. The site work is going at the rate it needs to go. We're a little ahead on utilities with the work that's been done on the drain field over the weekend. We're on track for other utilities like power and water connections. But it's kind of hard to show all of those. So we'll continue to see what we're doing as we go through these. Something that maybe is a little bit more visual is the introduction of Rascal Raccoon as the mascot for Standing Pines Resort. Those who follow us will remember a few weeks ago that Rebecca's the illustrator for Rascal Takes Responsibility and some other soon to be announced work at the campground. And we talked about creating these stories and these characters. So Rascal and his friends will show up more and more in some of the marketing materials. And this first one was for a Facebook post for the Standing Pines group, asking for feedback for these video weekly updates. Building Memories has been a lot of fun here these first 9 weeks. And it's kind of getting to the point where I'd really like to hear from you on what you'd like to hear about. We've got a few more videos planned for content. And then after that, there's a lot of room for adjusting to what you want to know about. So do please comment on this video, comment on that Facebook post. Just let us know what you're thinking, what you'd like to learn more about. We can continue to do construction updates. We can continue to do updates on Rascal and how his friends are doing. We're looking at maybe doing some on the wildlife in the area, some of the animals you may encounter on hiking around here. Some previews as things continue to progress with the Welcome Center and the pool and other big parts of the project. But really, just let us know what you want to see in these weekly updates so that we can adjust and incorporate kind of what you want to know about. Speaking of adjusting and incorporating, a few weeks ago on the dog park episode, I talked about a really, really great concept that one of our future guests offered. She pointed out to me that not many campgrounds allow 4 dogs per campsite, and that was a hardship for her family as they have 4 fur babies, and we're not wanting to camp without them. Now, that makes sense to me. We obviously own dogs, love dogs. And so what we were able to do really quickly, actually, thanks to CampSpot, our reservation system provider, was to go back and redesignate 4 back-in RV sites specifically for those families that might have up to 4 dogs. Now, anyone can book these sites. They're not, blocked off or something like that. But we're looking hard at doing some special things for these 4 sites, perhaps a shared dog run, perhaps some other kind of creative ideas that really would make them extra useful to families that travel with multiple dogs. So that was, I think, a great example of specific feedback and suggestions from a guest that we were able to quickly act on. And we're hoping to get some more of that kind of feedback for these future Building Memory episodes. So again, please don't be shy. Please toss out what you think. If we can do it, we will. If we can't, I'll probably explain, the reasons why we can't do it. But would love to get your take and your feedback. So along those lines, last year we did a groundbreaking event with the Hartsville Chamber of Commerce that was super helpful. We got to talk to folks in the local community who came out to the event. Thanks again for attending. We got to talk to many people and were able to generate a frequently asked questions list from that interaction, which was wonderful because the same questions do tend to come up again and again and again. Now, our answers maybe were not perfect. In fact, when I look at the opening dates on this, I have to smile because I was way off on what the opening dates were actually going to be. At that point, we were just too early in the process to make an accurate guess. All of that said, I think we'd find it extremely helpful if we did a live Q&A session as one of these Building Memory episodes. So if you have any interest in this or at an alternate time or a different format, just let me know. But I am more than happy to host a session live that's really all about taking questions, your questions, and giving answers in real time. Again, if I have the answer, I'll tell you the answer. If I have a guess, I'll tell you it's a guess. And if we just don't know, I'll just tell you we don't know. I will say that most of the questions that come up, we either have an answer or at least a good chunk of the answer. So again, just let me know in the comments below if this is something that you'd be interested in, because we could pretty easily put it together, and it would be fun for all of us to do. Would love to really kind of get a chance to do some real live Q&A with y'all. Okay, here's that timeline again. And I'm slightly nervous, as I think anyone would be at this point in the process, because we're halfway through and there is a lot to get done to be ready on October 15th. And I'm encouraged by our progress so far, particularly when I went back and I looked at some of the drone images that just trees, and I see how far we've come in the first 6 months. It's encouraging that we're going to be on time, on schedule, and have things ready for our guests. So as always, fingers crossed, and it looks like we're getting there. I did pull out just a few key photos to illustrate kind of what was going on month by month. Back in November, that was primarily the clearing. And then December, that initial clearing let us go through and put in the environmental controls, the silt fence, and a few other things to make sure that our construction work did not impact the environment of our neighbors. So that was great. January, we started getting in different long lead time items, like all of the stormwater pipe that's going in the ground now. So that was exciting to see that show up. Granted, a little before we were ready for it, but it was good to get it, given all of the supply delays in the last years for different reasons. And then in February, it was really cool to be able to start seeing the entire site from the air. And again, in February, just a more focused view when we had that really big crane and those two ginormous 10,000 gallon concrete tanks for the septic system being installed in the ground. It was a really big day. It was a great sign of progress. So that was really cool to see. Then in March, as site work continued, the layout for the actual roads, not the construction roads we've been using, but the actual roads that will be Standing Pines Resort, you could start seeing the shape of those from the air. So that was super exciting. And then more recently this month, the visible progress with the foundation being done and the framing going up, and now the exterior going up for the clubhouse. Super cool. So while I'm excited to show you the progress and really excited to share about what we have the next 6 months to get everything ready, I did want to step back just for a second and go back to the concept art. This is really kind of the vision of what we want for Standing Pines Resort for our guests. So it's an upscale camping destination. Sure, it's an RV resort, but it's for all kinds of campers. We'll have the rentals, we'll have the tent sites, we'll have the glamping. We really want to encourage anyone who wants to come and camp to give it a try here. Everyone from folks who've never camped before to folks who probably are most comfortable, throwing up a hammock and calling that good. I think we're going to have something for everybody to do and to enjoy at Standing Pines. So these works of art created by our original concept artists over in Germany have been kind of a guide for us as we've gone through this construction process to make sure that what we build out reflects the original vision for Standing Pines Resort. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly like was laid out in the concept art. There have been any number of changes in these first 6 months as we've gone through the building progress. One of the highlights I'll throw out there, we went from 1 dog park to 2 dog parks, recognizing the advantages of doing that. There were some significant changes from the original hope to have not 1 but 3 different water features at opening. We combined a lot of those concepts to have our one really big custom resort pool. So that was a change. We increased the number of sites, positive change. We added the on-site dining with the snack bar. Super positive change there, I think. And then I won't read the whole list, but what I really wanted to acknowledge is that we've seen a lot of change as we've gone through these first 6 months of construction. primarily for the positive for our guests, and also looking forward to see how that plays out. But an acknowledgement, we still have 6 months to go. There could be other changes that just don't know about at this point. I had to actually pause and read this because as I really was thinking about what the key point of this video is in the first 6 months of construction, the image that kept coming to my mind was a glacier. You know, you only see what, 10% of a glacier above water. The majority of it is just, below. You never see it. And I think when we complete construction and open in October, it's going to be very much like that for our guests. I think 90% of the construction work is going to be invisible. It's going to be in the ground. You won't see it. And the really visible part, the 10%, all of the amenities and the pool and the games and the stuff and the landscaping is what's going to happen, at the end of the project. So while we'll start seeing some of those show up over the next couple months, really this construction journey is going to continue to be a giant sandbox for another little while. All right, so I really wanted to keep it to less than 20 minutes today. We'll go ahead and cut off part 1 for reflections around here. Part 2, which will come out next week, will be look back at some of the highlights from what we shared in the first 8 episodes and some updates. The pool, for example, I do have some updates on that, some good news, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you next week, as well as anything else that might come up in the questions or comments from this one that we can address next week in Midpoint Reflections. And then I don't know if it'll be part 2 or part 3, just depends on how much content goes into part 2. Also, we'll do a kind of a look ahead and give you guys another just like timeline looking at the next 6 months for what we anticipate to be the major activities, the major construction things that need to happen on time for us to continue to have the same level of high confidence that we open October 15th for the soft open as planned. Okay, this is currently my favorite visual for Standing Pines Resort. This is one from the end of March from the air, and it means a lot to me because it's the first one I could really caption and show y'all what the roads are going to look like, where the pond is, just how big this front part of the resort, because this doesn't even show all the campsites. In fact, if I do a quick look, this is probably only about half the campsites, only about 50 of the first 109. But it gives a good sense of just the scope of the project. Plus, it was so much fun to come up with these road names. It's just nice to get them out there and show them. I try and remember to end every week with just a reminder. We are now accepting reservations and have been seeing some new reservations come through. It's really awesome to me to see how many of our early guests are booking for that very first day, that very first week. So really appreciate y'all. Can't wait to welcome you. Can't wait to just share this excitement when we're finally open and able to share this whole resort with you, and looking forward to that. Again, my name's Amy. I'm with Standing Pines Resort. We do this every week, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Next week will be part 2 of Reflections. And in the future, while there's a couple of topics we do want to cover, really looking forward to some feedback from you. So please drop a comment. Let us know what you want to see. Happy to kind of build some of this content out for you so we cover what you want to know for Standing Pines Resort. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you again next week.